What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Fun with Dumb podcast. Today, I got a group of DJs with me who run an amazing podcast that we are fans of. You'll see tons of clips that examine just proper etiquette when you're at a club, you know, just things you shouldn't do, you know. And if you ever wondered, like, is it okay to play a problematic artist? You know what I'm saying? Or listen to one? You may find that out on this podcast. But these are individuals that are exploring parts of DJ and music culture that I didn't even think about until I came across their clips. I'm joined by Jaime, a.k.a. Jamie the Great.
Yep.
DJ Crooked.
It's good.
Goldfinger.
Yes, sir.
How you guys doing, man?
What's good?
What's good, bro?
Thanks
Chilling.
for having us.
Oh, man, thank you guys for coming on the pod. We came on, I came on your pod with Roy Choi.
Yes.
And just because we're fans, and you guys are also friends of our DJ, DJ Zoe, me and
DJ
Rick.
Zoe.
My DJ.
Shout out to Rick Lee, also on the co-hosting
Yeah.
today.
Yes.
Sorry about
No,
that.
you good.
You got lost in all the
Yes.
you got lost in all the hip hop right now.
I'm a big fan of all the K-Town restaurants.
Come on, baby.
And you know,
Appreciate you,
putting
man.
as much food in your mouth as you can.
Oh.
we gotta go. We gotta go eat. We gotta go break bread.
First and foremost, give me just a one-liner of what the Road podcast represents.
So ROAD is an acronym for Reflections of a DJ. And we started a podcast in 2017. And at the time, you know, I'm originally from New York, but I moved to Vegas when, you know, Vegas was popping in the mid-2000s, when DJ AM was there,
Yep.
and right before the EDM boom. And, you know, Jamie the Great represents LA.
Yep.
And, you know, he's a very well-known sneaker influencer,
Yeah.
you know.
Know
And
what I
he got named by Travis Scott,
The plug.
Okay.
plug,
You know?
you know.
Okay.
And he worked at Riff LA. So
Yeah,
he
shout out
was
to
the sneakerhead.
Got you.
And Goldfinger is just a legend in New York nightlife.
This episode of Fun with Dumb is sponsored by Aura. With constant news of security breaches and data hacks these days, like the national public data breach that leaked 2.9 billion full names, addresses, date of births, phone numbers, and most importantly, social security numbers, I'm so glad that we use Aura here at Fun with Dumb to protect our personal data. Aura is a comprehensive service designed to protect your personal information and financial security. It helps you opt out of data brokers and people search sites that sell your info, reducing the risk of scams and identity theft. Aura also monitors your social security number and other personal data across billions of data points, alerting you to potential identity theft and providing up to $5 million in identity theft insurance for account holders. It also offers financial fraud protection with instant alerts for credit file breaches and secure Experian file locking. With a password manager and certified data security standards, Aura ensures your information stays private and protected. And the best part is, I get this all in one app at one affordable price. I'm not leaving myself and my family vulnerable to data breaches and brokers. And if you don't want to either, you can go to aura.com/dumbfounded to try 2 weeks for free. That's aura.com/dumbfounded to try 2 weeks for free. That will be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. Now back to your regular programming.
He has a history at the legendary Beat Street Records.
Wow.
And he's like one of the best DJs in New York in the 90s, 2000s. And even now, he's still doing it now.
Thank you.
So,
Sick.
yeah, we started this podcast because there were all these untold nightlife and DJ stories and that were not told from the 90s and the 2000s. And
Yep.
we wanted to capture all of that and capture that perspective. And, you know, it's like we just recently had Mark Ronson on. And we had like Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah.
We have producers. We had Jimmy Jam on and Cassidy. And it goes on. It just goes on.
I love the stories coming from the OGs on the pod, but I think the biggest thing that it does is like it tells kind of what that lifestyle is like in the perspective of people, the DJs when they're very like usually very quiet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of the DJs, because they're just there, they're creating the vibes. But no one's asking how the DJ is doing, you know? And we don't see that perspective, and you guys are given that POV. You know what I'm saying? And then as an outsider, you're like, oh, damn, this is so interesting. You guys hopping from club to club, what does that look like? And that's kind of the part as an outsider that I enjoyed. And I guess I should have known because I have a DJ.
Lives matter.
But I never asked about it.
that's
I never
that's
asked,
fine,
though,
dude.
how are you?
He's the first to come, the last to leave.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So that's what I love about you guys' pod and all the little clips and just things I've never even thought about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've never thought about these things, you know? And even when you guys were at the conferences going up to DJs, like what artists are
What canceled
canceled to be
artists?
played
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
Even things like that. Like I never even thought about that in a DJ's perspective. You
This
know?
is like this new era of like, you know, canceling artists that's
Yeah.
never happened in the last 10 years. Like no R. Kelly, now no Diddy, right?
Yeah.
At the time, maybe no Kanye West. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, Kanye West kind of got pulled out of cancellation a
Yeah.
little bit.
Michael
Yeah.
Jackson
You know?
was a little canceled for a while after
Yeah.
that documentary.
in certain rooms.
certain
yeah.
rooms.
Wait, so for real, there are ramifications if you play like an R. Kelly track? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
they'll approach you and be like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's
Wow.
emails that go out like a nightclub or even a casino like in Vegas.
Yeah.
Where they'll be like, please remove all Michael Jackson, please remove all
Yes.
Kanye West.
Wow.
Please, and you know, they'll have an email go out to all the DJs and say, we're not playing any of this. No Diddy. Please remove all Diddy or
No
whatever.
Diddy.
Yeah.
No Diddy. Hashtag no Diddy.
Recently, one of the homies, he did a full pack of 40 songs, I think, and he removed Diddy from all those records. So
Shout
I
to
Need a
Danny
Girl.
Diggs.
So Danny Diggs removed him from I Need a Girl, from Last Night to all the hit
Damn.
records. So there's versions of just the
Just
song,
Keisha.
but no, just Keisha Cole.
Just Keisha.
No Diddy.
Yeah, like One More Chance when he's like, you know, true player for real, ask Puff Daddy.
And just
Take
play-
that out of the song.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's true player for real, instrumental. And then keep it going.
And you guys are really the lab tests when you guys are out there on the floor playing this and see how the crowd reacts. Is there an ooh? Is the dance floor scatter?
yeah.
Weird looks, yeah.
Yet early on in the cancellation, that first week, I'm sure you play it and see what happens.
Yeah.
And
The little
you see-
temperature check.
And you see,
Yeah.
you've seen differences, right?
It's like reading a room. So like, you know, when comedians have to like comedians and DJs are almost parallel.
Like cousins.
Yeah.
Because
Got
like
you, got
a
you,
comedian has to read the room.
Mm-hmm.
A DJ has to read the room. And like the lifestyle of a comedian is very similar to a DJ.
Right.
It's like on the road consistently. And it's like it's just
You
very
got to adapt to the
parallel.
region and all that. You know
Right.
what I mean?
And
Like,
you're like, yo, if I'm in the South, I gotta play
Exactly.
differently. Some jokes aren't gonna resonate in the South
Mhm.
like they do on the East Coast and
That's
on the West
interesting.
Coast.
Right.
So as a DJ, especially now, everything's so regional, even more regional than they was
That's
before.
crazy.
I
Yeah.
do remember when we were on tour in DC,
Yeah.
and we played an after party that Zoe was DJing,
Yeah.
and he played that thug Donald
Oh,
Trump
yeah.
Yeah.
in DC.
They were with it.
They weren't out with it.
They weren't?
Nah,
They were with it.
because
Nah,
this was
bro.
like
This has to be why he's in office, right?
well, I think
The
it's
first
also
time.
you don't know like what political sides people are taking. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? So
exactly.
he didn't necessarily read it. Like he's just assuming we're like on the West Coast. It's YG, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, plus, also, our audience was like scared. Like a lot of them were just like, the Asian kids.
Yeah. So there was just a temperature check, and that went wrong, and he actually felt it too, and he
Mhm.
let us know.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And you have to have a backup right away, or else
Yeah.
you're gonna die with that.
But there's like a classic thing where like in the 2000s in New York, we'd get a Cali DJ and they'd be doing a Bay Area set that would go off and it would be crickets.
Damn.
Like Tell Me When to Go was not
yeah, they're
hitting.
not. That's not it. for
Blow
them.
the Whistle was kind of not hitting until Jay-Z rapped on the freestyle
On the
remix.
Yeah.
And so there's all these songs that Cali thinks is popping, but the Bay Area is just so in its own
It's-
world
right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
that they don't even realize that.
Yeah.
Like New York is a completely different
Yeah.
thing.
Do you think there's emails being sent to like clubs all around Toronto about not playing Not Like Us?
No,
yeah.
but you know that there's
Think so? You talk a little closer
Yeah.
on the.
I'm sure of it. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think stuff like that is they're definitely going to be like, we don't want to lose this guy. He comes in all the time.
Right.
True.
You know, it's one of those things.
That makes sense.
But there's properties here that Drake is involved with, right?
He owns.
Yeah.
In
Like
LA.
Delilah.
Right. Right.
Oh, interesting.
There were emails initially that were like, "Yo, you can't play Kendrick,"
Yeah.
Wow.
and
All the
had-
Kendrick, not even out, just
it was just especially
Right.
definitely not like
yeah,
us.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But there was definitely
Don't
a
even
bunch of
touch it.
DJs
Mhm.
like, we don't play Kendrick in LA, and I was like, that's crazy, because
Wow.
He's from LA, right?
yeah, because there's a nightlife group that owns a majority of the
Yeah.
nightclubs out here,
And he's got that reach.
and they're in business with Drake. Yeah.
Yeah.
that puts people in a very complicated situation. you
Yeah.
know? Well, let's kind of kick it off with this. Like almost like the State of the Union speech. What is the state of nightlife currently right now? How's it looking? Because I've seen articles too about this. I've seen
Yeah.
articles about the decline, less alcohol consumption, all these different things that play a factor. So
Well, usually the top of the year is kind of quiet because people are kind of like assessing. You know, you just came out of buying a whole bunch of Christmas shit,
Right.
chilling, trying to find out what your money's looking like. This year, crazy because it's like a presidential change. So
Yeah.
people are kind of like holding on to their coin a little bit.
Mhm.
So, you know, usually the first couple of months, it's pretty quiet. But I think by the time it gets warm, we'll know exactly what the temperature is for
Yeah.
the rest of the year.
what did it seem like in this past year in 2024?
Well, I've always said election year is like the year to kind of be a little like
Cautious.
cautious and conservative.
About bottle
Because-
popping?
Well, just there's always going to be change in election
Yeah.
year. So I
Yeah.
always tell DJs, save your money. If you're killing it like in 2023, don't be spending your money in 2023. Save your money because in 2024, anything could happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Because it's like, you know, companies, corporate, like they start pulling back on marketing
Yeah.
Right.
expenses
True,
and budgets. Like things are changing. Even like construction in Vegas kind of halted
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know who's going to be in charge.
Yeah.
That's regulations,
Yeah.
that's funding, that's all types
So-
of things.
Rates could switch.
Yeah.
Everything changes. Like,
Yeah.
and you're seeing it now. But you know, I think in general, I think like the formula for nightclub bottle service is not translating to the younger generation.
Yeah.
Totally.
They don't see the value in that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's almost like gasoline cars and electric cars. These nightclubs are holding on to the bottle service formula like a gasoline car company. They don't want to switch over to electric
Yeah.
because this formula has been in place for the last 20 years.
Mhm.
So you're kind of seeing nightclubs trying to hold on for dear life to bottle service.
What was the
Damn.
value that we even saw it in our generation, though? You
It's
know
the
what I'm
flex,
saying?
bro.
It was
Flex.
hip hop, dog.
Yeah, definitely.
You saw
It
like
was
your
Dame
favorite
Dash,
The
rapper.
Flashing the
videos helped that,
champagnes.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
And the
Yeah.
bottles looking fancy,
Yeah.
the
It's
crystal.
aspirational. It's like everybody wants to feel like they moving up.
Right.
You could just do that.
You
pop
saw
a bottle,
Jay-Z hanging
you know?
out with the Chris. Was it Cristal? Is
Yeah,
it?
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ace of Spades, whatever. Yeah.
I
And
mean,
the
as I get,
Nigerian princes are doing bottle wars in DC. You know what I mean? It was a culture.
I mean,
dude.
as I get older, the only value I see it is a
Yeah.
place to sit.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
You know what I'm
It's
saying?
real
That's-
estate.
It is real estate, like you
Absolutely.
said. And the ill stuff about it is like the clubs, now that real estate has gone up and like gentrification and shit like that, you know, the clubs have to pay more because the value of the space that they're at.
True. Yeah.
And if I'm a young guy and I got a certain amount of money, I don't give a fuck that I have to go into this expensive club when I go to a bar
Right.
and just get lit. You know what I mean? So
I didn't think
cheaper.
about it in that way. The
Yeah.
price of actual real estate inside the space. You
I
know,
think this
if
new
everyone's standing,
generation-
you can cram in more people.
Right.
If
Right.
you're gonna
Right.
have a section that's
Right.
gonna, only hold a few people, you better pay more.
Right.
You know.
But it's also easier. It's like when the bottles come out, if you're a dude with a bottle at a table and they have sparklers and everyone's bringing you all these bottles, all the women are paying attention to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas like if a woman's looking at you at the bar buying her a drink or her being in a banquet
Yeah.
with bottles
And
and,
sparklers.
and you know next to the DJ or like in full vicinity in an elevated banquet where everyone can see you.
Like-
Damn, yo, he sells it
Right?
well right
Yeah.
now. I want a VIP section right now.
So I want to buy a bottle.
Well, have y'all bought bottles in LA in the LA scene?
Come on, Evan.
Yeah.
Come on. Of course. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, I
so
have,
what,
I
but
have.
what was the point when you guys were buying bottles? What was the motivation behind that? And your
I was in a really good mood. I must have gotten a bag or something.
That
I'm
K-
like, I'm gonna do it. I
That
didn't feel too
KLTD
great
check
after.
cleared.
Yeah. I didn't feel too good after.
you just
but I
want a
did.
battle.
Want a battle? Organic hit the deposit. You know
Nah,
what I
come
mean?
on, let's be real. There were times where we just calculating. We're like, wait, hold on, 6 drinks is gonna add up to a bottle.
Battles
anyway.
don't equal bottles. You know,
Yeah.
that's one letter off, but still.
celebrating those
But, yo,
punchlines.
that's the worst. As a DJ, that's the worst because we play to the end of the night
Yeah,
and then we see all the tables is nothing but dudes paying their check and no women in sight. That's when you know you kind of
scattered.
That is
Gone.
pretty sad. That is
Yeah.
sad when you got your calculator open, try to calculate the tip. You're
You
like,
put it at the
oh,
light.
man.
Hopefully it goes lower. Nah, it's not
I'd be
working.
like, yo, did
dog.
we order this? Did you
Yeah,
order this?
yo.
What's gratuity? I don't know him.
Yeah.
they got played, dude. That's the thing.
Has the treatment of DJs, in your experience, because you guys all been in the game for a while DJing, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
just
yeah.
working DJs for a long time.
Mm.
Has the treatment have DJs? Does it still remain good? Like, do they treat you well? or has that changed in any way?
I think there's it depends on what city you're in. You know, I do think that the venues have more appreciation for their resident and local DJs.
Okay.
And that's
Then the guests?
than the guests, because then I think that had to do with the pandemic.
Got it.
So during the pandemic, you know, certain cities were open, certain cities weren't. But if you weren't open, you were kind of reopening in 2021 after like kind of when things were like kind of, you know, when all the regulations were lightening up.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the nightclubs were depending on their residents. And then the residents started kind of setting the tone for what was being played.
Yeah.
And it was more local music. You know, they were catering to the more local crowds because there wasn't as many people traveling.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of resident DJs and local DJs got empowered, and the travel DJs, you know, we weren't traveling at that time.
Yeah.
I think that became slightly more relevant, but
Got you.
you know, it really depends on what city you're coming from. But what DJs are talking about, like in unison, is the younger generation of crowd. They don't know what to do in nightclubs right now.
Yeah. They treat it like a festival some days. Like they'll wait till the lights come on, they're still sitting on the ground and they're like, yo, y'all gotta get the fuck up out of here. So,
I see when Zoe DJs down the street over here, everyone's kind of facing the DJ a little bit. And is that a weird shift for you guys coming from the days where people were actually dancing and all of a sudden all eyes are on you?
Yeah.
I think it's because a lot of people want to be DJs. Like, you know, I think more people
right now.
more people have been incentivized to get equipment. They find out it's not as expensive
it's
as it
super
used to
cheaper.
be. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of people want that piece for themselves as well. You know?
Yeah.
I think it's also EDM. EDM started creating the DJ being the forefront where everyone's facing the DJ.
Yeah.
So I started noticing in Vegas in the late 2000s, they were moving the DJ from like, if you went to like Trist back in the day or XS, the DJ was actually like almost in the closet. Yeah, he was in the closet with like a window.
Yeah.
Right.
Like a window to see like, yo,
It's like a vocal booth.
yeah, he'd be like hidden and the DJ would not be anywhere. And then all of a sudden they started getting Deadmau5 and David Guetta and like and all these bigger DJs, Avicii. And so they started putting the DJ in the forefront, and then that became the new formula. But now with Boiler Room, you're seeing a different dynamic happen where the focus is almost behind the DJ more. So it just kind of changes.
Do you think overall there's an overall appreciation for DJs a lot more now? Because DJs would have become like kind of these gods of nightlife at moments, you know? I mean, in the highest level in festivals, it's insane, right? Like one person commanding it, 50,000 people at the same time.
It's interesting that, you know, when the DJs were actually using vinyl and doing all these types of tricks and stuff like that, that we weren't more the focus than we are now. And most guys are just pressing buttons.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of
there's more to see someone actually doing something back then as opposed to now.
Right,
now it's more visuals and stuff, right?
Right.
But also the motivation to become a DJ was we were all introverts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We like when we wanted to become a DJ, we know like back in the day when you went to a club, there was the dude who could dance really well and they got all the attention.
Yeah.
Or, you know, there was the promoter got all the girls.
Right.
So when you went to the club, you're like, where do I fit in? And you're like, oh, I like the DJ. They're kind of
the guy in the closet.
Yeah, they're
behind the glass.
Pause.
Right.
Yeah, pause.
And it's like they're not in the spotlight.
Yeah.
So when you see a DJ, you're kind of like, yo, I like that. They're controlling the room, but you know they can still, you know, kind of keep to themselves.
Hell yeah.
But now a DJ is an extrovert.
Right.
Like if you see these DJs, they're like doing dances. They're like performing. You know, they're like a part of the whole crowd. They're like controlling the room. And you see the festivals, they're going into the front of the stage.
Jumping
and they're like amping everyone up. Then they're going back and changing the mix. You know?
I've seen DJs, our friend Zoe, having to adapt to this uncomfortability factor.
Oh, no, for sure.
For him, you know, because he was never super like rocking a mic too much. You know, he just let the music speak for himself. His cutting was crazy.
Yeah.
And
Amazing,
I just see him on the mic more and more.
Oh, I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
I remember one time for his birthday, he was DJing in Vegas, and I was happy to come out the other venue next to On the Record where he was at. He's like, "Yo, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I just got off," and he goes, "Yo, come rock the mic because I can't do this shit." I was like, "All right, cool." He goes, "You just have this presence." Yeah. So I went in there, rock with him for like 2 hours. He's like, "Yo, I'll shoot you some money." I'm like, "Nah, you're good, bro. This is love." But it was one of those things where later on, like you said, he started grabbing the mic a little, grabbing the mic a little bit more and talking because he was always the cutter, the juggler.
Yeah.
He was
such a nonchalant, chill guy. Like earlier in the like the early shows, he'd be building it up. And the beat's about to drop. He's like, "Everybody, make some noise." His vocals were contradictory to the music. It was crazy.
Now it's like he has his go-to. It's like a DJ Zoe soundboard. Yeah. Whose birthday is it? Every birthday's in the building.
Shout out Zoe.
Well, how's the dynamic when he was DJing for y'all? Like, has it?
So I went to middle school with this guy. I mean, we started young, and back then it was more like the boom bap, like hip hop show. So it was more cut heavy, like beat battles where he starts beatboxing and he starts cutting to it. It was more technical.
Right.
It was DJ. Like I feel like they transformed from like mood setter to the actual performer. Before he was like the older brother. He was like the DJ behind the MC, beat drops, doing a couple ad libs here and there. Echo Flanger Max, that's it. But now it's like it's a whole different
full
thing.
Production, right?
Full different, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now some people are even doing the video cuts at the same time.
Yeah, and Zoe was doing. Y'all did that shit like 2008, 2009, like that Darth Vader shit that people don't know about. Like you guys were making these videos that now are like the thing to do.
Zoe was such a big part of our show, I feel. He wasn't just playing our beats. Like he had his own little part in our sets always, because he was so dope. It would be a waste to not utilize him.
He has such a he had such a deep catalog of music too. Like when I go to a show, when the DJ's kind of like, just dropping the ambiance a little bit, and he has that playlist before the MC comes out, that playlist is very important to me because it kind of shows me like, oh, what do they listen to? What kind of people are they? And he would drop some very obvious like mainstream hits and then some like deep B cuts, and I love that about Zoe. He was part of the show as well.
Could I ask you guys, because this is a very diverse group over here. I see a Latino, Asian, a black dude.
It's the first black guy in your show, maybe? I don't know.
No.
Oh, you had a few. Okay,
come on, man. Well, it is usually.
I mean, bro, legit question.
Grape soda?
What is it?
Grape soda?
Grape drink?
What if I was at a gang just waiting for you, gang of grape soda? I'd be like, yo, come on, fam. Nah.
I was telling him, I'm like, yo, they haven't had a brother on in a while. I'm bringing the first brother.
It is a very Asian American focused show, but like we're just a fan of you guys' pod in general. So you had nothing to do with it. Just
you sound guilty, bro. You sound so guilty right now.
No, but what I was gonna ask you guys is, you guys, we have black, Asian, Latino represented, and when there's a lot of these nightlife clubs and stuff, Asian nights, the Latino nights, the black nights, and there's probably like a difference in kind of the vibes and music temperature. Has there been a difference in like the crowd and the people in attendance, that the energy of it all, Because I've seen the Asian clubs, they differ from the Latino clubs. They differ from the black clubs.
But that's a question I want to ask you guys.
Yeah.
Because I've never really been to an Asian club, but I've heard about it.
He's Korean,
but you don't even DJ Asian.
No, like even when I see Zoe and you guys talk about Zoe, and I've seen videos, like even before I met Zoe, I've always been jealous of him because I felt like he's like, yo, he's around so many Koreans. And I've never been around Koreans like that.
Wait, where in Queens are you from, yeah?
I'm not from Queens.
Queens.
Oh, you didn't say Queens.
I'm from New York. I'm from like Manhattan.
Oh, okay.
So I grew up in Upper West Side, but then I lived in Spanish Harlem, and I have homies in Spanish Harlem and Harlem.
Oh, God, just say, okay, so
sounds like you were like trying to avoid Asians. You said everywhere else.
I love that he said Queens. He went straight.
I don't know the experience of like being around a lot of Asian people. So like if I walk in a room with a ton of Asian people, I actually get a little nervous because I don't know. Like I'm a little nervous right now. Like just
There's a lot of Asian references on the wall.
No, like I don't know how to act. I would never know how to talk to an Asian girl.
Right.
Like, you know,
Interesting. Okay. So you
like-
just completely did not grow up in that culture.
No, that's why like when I saw Zoe like DJing for Koreans, and I was like, I saw him and I was like, yo, he must be half Korean.
Okay.
He must be. And then when I met him, he's like, no, I'm not Korean. And I was like, you fake, fake Korean ass motherfucker.
Okay. Say you have to fill in for DJ Zoe at a club, and it's a Korean night.
I wouldn't know what to do.
What would be the first record you would play?
Pati.
I'm dead.
Hey, it'll hit right now.
Wait,
Smooth like butter or something.
He starts playing Gangnam Style. Like, yo, come on, fam.
Bringing it back.
He starts playing the Squid Game intro music. Red light.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know anything. So like, I'm very curious and just like I would hear about like the format for I think was the format for LA nightclubs.
Yeah.
Where they would like everyone got a table and you can like order half a bottle. And you would. And
I was
then,
going to ask you about this, but you don't yet.
I don't know anything about. I've heard.
Okay,
the booking
you're
club.
K curious.
Yeah,
you're K curious.
Yeah, I've always wanted to experience that. And like the DJ plays like dance music for like 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then they'll play slow dance for 20, and then the dance floor would empty, and it would force people to drink, go back to their tables and drink.
I guess
strip club format right now.
I get the Asian clubs are kind of its own little pocket of things.
Yeah.
You kind of need somebody to bring you in a little bit, right?
You needed to get jumped in, yeah.
But you guys,
It's like gang culture.
but that's a standard here in LA back in the day, right?
Back in the day, I think that.
Like those kind of clubs don't exist as much. It's a little bit more old school, but there are specifically, Asian clubs. Like you go there and it's a clearly Asian audience and stuff. Have you played Asian clubs?
Yeah, I
feel
did Arena a few times.
Yeah,
across the
yeah,
street.
Arena.
Yeah.
But they just like R&B, hip hop 2000 shit. Like they like that
Right.
shit. They're not too into like the trap hip hop shit. So it's
Yeah,
mostly
they
like
turn up over there at Arena.
no, but it's not like you're not playing like some hard shit. They want like the cool, vibey,
Yeah, I don't know
2000 shit.
if you necessarily have to adjust it to anything, but we do know that a lot of Asians like EDM.
Yeah.
That does seem like something
that-
you guys probably have noticed too, right?
That club down the street that Zoe does,
Yeah.
that shit is EDM for sure, and it's
Yeah.
all Korean. So it's like
Which club?
Terracotta. Yeah.
Do you guys play EDM joints too? Or?
Of course.
Is that something? Is that kind of like a standard now? You
Yeah.
have to bring EDM with you, even if at a hip hop club or whatever.
Well, in New York, you have to play everything. You
Yeah.
you
It's
got
like
to
a
know.
melting pot. So you
Yeah,
never
like
know.
Got
it's,
you, got
like
you.
I think L.A. and New York, they have two different nightclubs, nightlife scenes. In New York, it's probably like when everyone says open format, that's actually hip hop. That's a hip hop nightclub format.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't want to call it hip hop because like racist nightclub owners don't want
Exactly.
black people coming in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
in the 90s, like, right? And
Yeah,
this dude
definitely.
lived it with
Yeah.
some of the greatest DJs in the world.
Yeah.
Damn.
But in the 90s, when you went to a hip hop club, you would hear dancehall, hip hop, but then you hear classics.
Yeah.
You'd hear, and then you know what? Hip hop, the beautiful thing about hip hop, right? Is that anything can be hip hop.
Right.
Joan Jett is hip-hop, right?
Yeah.
Like anything could be hip hop. So
Right.
you would hear salsa, you would hear everything. If it got off in the club, it was hip hop.
Damn.
So then in the 2000s, it became mashup, right? Because it was like, oh, we could sell the white people were like, we could sell this
Yeah.
rock and hip hop. We put
Yeah.
rock and hip hop together, mashups, and then mashup became the scene.
Yeah, everyone got mind blown
Yeah.
when they're
Yeah, the
mixing
Aerosmith
two.
DMC thing, right?
And then the open format term came probably in the mid 2010s when the EDM era started going down, and the
Hip-hop.
nightclubs were like, oh shit, we got to start playing more hip hop in the clubs.
Mhm.
We don't want to say
can't
hip hop,
We can't say it. Yeah.
so we're going to say open format.
format.
Yeah. So I came back.
Open format. So that's what they say. That's
Yeah.
what they tell you.
Yeah, so it's all like
Coded.
different coded words that are like white friendly, but
Mm.
won't necessarily, bring black crowds or minorities into the club.
Damn. I didn't know it was so deep like that.
Oh
you
no,
know?
it's some racist shit sometimes, bro.
And
like
it-
sometimes,
And they don't sell grape soda either.
yeah. Oh my god.
Yo, there's like clubs in yeah.
No, it's like
true.
there's times where I had managers come up to me and be like, "Yo, switch it up. It's getting too dark in here," and I'd be like, "Oh, you racist motherfucker!"
Yeah. He's like, I'm not talking the lighting.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about the
views
lighting.
right now.
And I'm like, "Oh fuck, bro, why you gotta do all
That's
that?"
crazy.
No,
But I feel like
it's-
that happens at Asian clubs, Asian promoters. You
Yeah.
know, you got the more like
There's some bad
floppier Asian
apples.
promoters
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I
for
cannot
sure.
stand. That like
Oh, they
have
love
little
that
racial
job.
undertones, and it's so interesting when they have that and the music being played is by black artists, and you're like, the
right.
audacity of that is just kind of crazy.
It's crazy.
But y'all got interesting shit too here. Like, I never heard this anywhere else except in Cali, but more so in LA, maybe.
Mhm.
Like, you guys have like different countries in Asia, like, are like kind of like prejudiced. They're prejudiced with each other.
Relax, man.
Wait, so like,
No, it's true.
no,
yeah.
so like when I talk to certain LA, like, you know, LA DJs or LA club people, they would be like, yo, like Vietnamese motherfuckers is crazy. You don't want Vietnamese motherfuckers in the club.
Oh, at the clubs they're saying this?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So it's like, I was like, wow, I didn't realize like Asians were kind of like not wanting
Segregate
other
each
Asians.
other.
there,
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I
mean-
love like really niche racism.
Yeah.
You know, like when someone like East Coast Asians being like, I hate SoCal Asians. I'm like, that is niche. That's
That's a
very
specific part.
That's like you're really getting deeper and deeper, smaller and
Little
smaller
subgroups,
groups.
little
Yeah,
subgroups.
subgroups.
See, I don't even know the difference between SoCal or North Cali.
This is SoCal Asian. This is East Coast
Yeah, I
Asian.
know.
Yeah.
But what's the difference between a SoCal and a North
actually,
Cali Asian?
Yeah, because you don't even have East Coast Asian friends or like or a group of East Coast
I
Asians.
had like one, like 2 or 3.
He's never
okay.
had this. Like he's been
I
more
want to hear the
Asian.
origin story, man. I want to.
Yeah, he's never had that many Asian friends. It's always been like Latinos. It's like growing up in Koreatown.
Yeah,
You guys gonna run into Salvadorians, Mexican kids,
yeah.
and then even myself. I grew up in Silver Lake, so it's not that far from here.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I grew up around Korean kids as well. So
Yeah.
it's like a little bit different. But he was just
part of this
Puerto
environment.
Ricans, the
right.
Dominicans, and Cubans and
He
shit.
never looked back. He
Not
was
Cuban.
like,
Hey, bro.
he got in
Oh.
there. He got, once he got accepted as that Asian dude, he was like,
hip hop.
I'm that guy. This is hip hop
hip-hop,
right
bro.
here. I feel that though. I mean, I've had a little bit of that too. I grew up with a lot of Latinos, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then I got more in tune with my Asian side, like as I got a little older. Ironically, because I was in the battle rap scene and people started making Asian jokes and I started defending myself and I didn't know I was defending a whole group of
No,
people.
you were, yeah.
And then they were like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah,
we rock with you." I was like, "All right, if you rock with me, I'm gonna ride this thing out for a while."
yeah.
And then he tried to Koreatown on his chest.
Yeah, Koreatown.
Yeah. Just talking about more of your pod. You've had a lot of prominent DJ
Crazy
guests
guests.
on there. Like I just saw recently, you had like Mark Ronson,
Right.
Yeah.
like huge DJs. So you're getting a lot of listeners from that community, like legit ones. How is that? How have you guys navigated that?
Well, how long have you had this podcast?
I've had it like 6 years.
6
5,
years. So,
yeah.
like, I think this is our 8th year.
Wow. Damn.
So we started in 2017,
Yeah, October.
and like throughout the years, we would have sprinkles of big DJs.
Yeah.
We'll have one key
Right.
moment every year. And I was like, yeah, we got that moment that year.
That MVP
Yeah.
moment.
I would
Yeah.
say at the time, you know, I was inspired by like probably like Bill Burr
Yeah.
and like
Mm-hmm.
Juan Ep, shout to Cypher Sounds and Peter
One
Rosenberg.
Epstein show.
Yeah, Juan Epstein.
Yeah.
Like legendary podcast, and we
Sure.
got to
Right.
give a shout to Captain
Combat Jack.
Combat
Combat
Jack.
Jack,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
of course.
And
RIP.
you know,
Yep.
so for us, I think maybe we're one of the first DJ podcasts
Yeah.
Yeah.
that strictly talk about
DJ
like
shit.
DJing shit, like real deep DJing
That's
shit.
why I love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
But I would say in the last 2 years, we were just started getting more guests like Jermaine Dupri, like
Yeah.
Brian Michael Cox. You know,
Y'all had hip hop on that. The A&R. That was crazy.
Yeah, shouts
to
hip-hop.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been a good
that
friend.
was the turning point actually.
Yeah.
That was when I was like, oh, okay.
When Kiambo hip hop was, you know, instrumental in Rockefeller,
Absolutely.
and he was the A&R, and he picked all the beats for Jay and all of Rockefeller
Yeah,
rappers.
for Beanie, for all
Wow.
those guys.
So so he was kind of the mastermind that created the Rockefeller sound.
Yep.
But no one would ever talk like you would never know that.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're the podcast that talks to the people behind the scenes like that.
And
Yeah.
you guys are the ones asking the right questions for
Yeah.
them to share these stories.
we're
you
the
know?
one only nerdy and curious. to
Yeah,
ask
we're
that
the
shit.
ones that are like, so you did this. What happened?
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Like I remember like my boy MoMA is brothers with Ebe, who's like, you know, J. Cole's like best friend and the president of Dreamville Records.
Mm.
But, you know, Cole sent Ebe the link for that hip hop podcast.
Wow.
And he was like, "Yo, we grew up on this shit."
Wow.
You talking about the beats that passed on? That
that whole podcast with
That
hip
whole
hop
episode.
from Rockefeller,
Gotcha.
Kiambo, and then Cole sent it to Jay-Z. And so all the top notch, like all the big heavyweights in hip hop were watching that episode.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like, oh shit, like they never even knew that Kiambo was doing all this. And, and it was
that's what I was saying. That was
yeah.
surprising because you hear about him, but you never even like really see him or hear him.
Yeah.
You know
No,
what I mean?
yeah, he's
Very
yeah,
super rare.
It's really hard to get him to like even get him on the phone.
Yeah.
Like I have a cool relationship with him, and he's like, "How the fuck you become this close with him?" I'm like, "Dude, it's just we talk about food and shit. I don't know, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, we got to get him on. We got to get him on." And he was a fan of the podcast before we even knew he was listening and shit.
You're
like
getting
that.
these stories out of these people because, they're like, oh, y'all are us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And there's a
exactly.
trust instilled there,
And I think we're also just focused on the music. Like we're not trying to get like scandalous.
Yeah,
shit.
What's your body count?
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, just tell me
no.
about the beats,
Like,
fam.
we're just-
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
who passed up on wine?
I don't care about like who you dating.
Yeah,
like,
sure,
when
yeah.
like Jermaine Dupri's on. Like, I mean, we're not going to ask about Janet Jackson. We're just going to talk
Yeah,
about his
yeah.
music,
Right.
and we're going to deep dive into like how did you get inspired to make this or that.
Yeah.
And it's just these like producers, they want to nerd out. These DJs, they want to
Hell
nerd
yeah.
out and talk. Like we had Jimmy Jam on, and he was like, "Wow, like." He's talking about, no one knew that Jimmy Jam from Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis DJ'd.
Yeah.
And, like, there's all these things. We were just deep diving into, like, equipment and stuff,
You guys have the type of pod that I feel like the right people are listening. You know what I mean? Like when I talk to my homies at Complex and they're like, oh, we love that pod.
Yeah.
And we're
Oh,
trying
really?
to do something
Yeah,
with them.
Complex gave us an article not so long ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
and I have a boy who's like kind of head up, like top
Yeah, for
up
DJ
there
Nuff.
in Complex, and he's like, "Yeah, I've been trying to figure out like what possibly we could do with them." He's, he's like,
Oh, shout out.
yeah, he's like, yeah, they're very like niche in this thing, but like he's a huge fan, and
Yeah.
all the right heads know what's up. You know,
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Well, shout out to y'all, man. Shout out for checking out the pod.
Like if I would interview you, I would be asking you about the second round with Thesaurus. You know what I mean? Like
Oh, that's a little too deep cut.
that real rap shit that you used to
Yeah.
do and shit like that.
That's what's up, man. Wait, so you guys are DJing regularly, like while you guys do the pod?
Yeah.
Like,
Totally. Yeah.
And like, is that every weekend? What does your week look like?
Yeah. I mean, we're working
working
DJs. I
Yeah.
mean, the podcast is really
Essentially that.
essentially like the voice of the working DJs.
Yeah.
Mm.
The
It's
everyday
like
folk.
it's not really based on celebrity. So like we would just talk about all the changes. So like how like changes in politics, and, in anything going on, how it affects music, how it affects nightlife,
Mhm.
how it affects everything, and we're talking in real time, and kind of explaining about it. So we have to work in order. It's like because all the information and all the trends we're seeing and everything we're talking about
Mhm.
stems from us DJing and seeing what's
Being
going
out
on.
there, yeah.
Well, I'm assuming you guys have been DJing like 10 years plus kind of area, or is
How
that?
long you been DJing?
Yeah,
Goldfinger.
10 years plus.
Yeah, I'm just wondering,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what's
yeah.
No. It's this
At
dude's
least
history
40,
is crazy.
At least 40 years.
40 years
Let's
of DJing?
go, boy.
40 years of nightlife and day parties and whatever.
Everything in between that.
Wow.
Damn.
And let me
Like
ask,
this motherfucker smoke weed with Tupac and Biggie,
Yes.
dog.
Wait.
So-
wait.
Yeah,
We
so,
should've
like,
started
that's-
the
that's how
whole
crazy this shit
podcast.
goes.
Smoke a Thai stick with Tupac and Biggie?
Yeah.
African black.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like this motherfucker over
Yeah.
here, he was like before Jin was gonna get signed by Rough Riders, they were looking to sign him as a rapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like
he
Wait, just to
introduced-
rap cooking?
He
Yeah.
introduced Asia to Rough Riders.
yeah, he was
Right.
before that.
Well,
So
I mean, I could imagine. So
history
if
shit.
you're an OG in New York nightlife
Yeah.
around that time, and you said DJing 40 years, and there's probably way less DJs too than we
Yeah.
have now.
oh,
totally.
1,000%.
Yeah,
yeah,
for
there's
sure.
a handful.
Totally.
If you'll be, people are gonna run into each other all the time. So you must have ran into like every rapper during that time.
I've run into my fair share of everybody. Like
Yeah.
I've done a lot.
It-
Like
in those 40 years, have you ever thought like I'm so sick of this? Like, was there ever?
no, never.
There's never a thought.
Never thought.
Because I'll even
Never
say for me, like
Never
I've
thought.
had moments, in my hip hop career where I just got. I think it's tough because you get older as a human being in an art form that might be young.
Mm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like there's like the pet peeves could start like kind of getting to you a little bit more than if you were young and you'd be more down to tolerate some
Bro.
bullshit. You know what
Bro,
I'm saying?
I met Michael Jackson through DJing, so that shit is rewarding.
Damn.
Like,
Those are
to the
little
point-
checkpoints. You're like,
Yeah,
okay, I could go for another year.
Yeah.
This gives me another
You never,
5.
you know,
Yeah,
you
but
never,
dumb.
never gets old. Never gets old.
I feel
Making some
that.
noise
Never
for
gets old.
40 years.
That's
is great.
come on.
That's-
I wish I
yo.
had a machine here. Yeah,
That's
because
respect.
because I'm approaching 20. Like we're like 20 somewhere
Relax.
around there.
Yeah,
Yeah, 20 years or something.
And the years go by
25.
fast.
No.
If you really, you know,
Absolutely.
you do a checkpoint and you think of the songs that was out or when it was going on, you're like, damn, I remember playing this stuff in the club. I remember when this record came out.
Mm.
You know, that type of
It's
shit.
like time capsules.
Yeah, it really is.
That's amazing.
And it's
man.
good because we document other people's history on the pod. So it's like we kind of like giving you a little bit of a spotlight of an era that nobody's really been talking about.
Has your relationship with like the nightlife culture of whether it's alcohol, drugs, has that changed like
Of
over the
course,
years?
man.
Yeah.
I stopped smoking weed years ago.
Yeah. You were like,
I couldn't do that shit. I had enough.
Like, I've smoked enough weed for a lifetime.
Yeah. After the shit went big and I'm drooling on myself and shit like, wait, what happened
Whoa,
with this?
drooling on yourself.
The
I don't
weed,
even
the
know
weed.
this
was
stuff.
dust,
Rapper weed is
you
different,
gotta clean
man.
this up.
Rapper weed is different, man. Rapper weed is different.
He's
It's
a big
lot
hat that
stronger.
gas.
You know, that's when Branson was out, in, like in the East Coast, and they were
He's like,
smoking
what the-
like that type
He
of
never
shit.
told us this shit.
You've
No, I've
seen
heard it. I've
weed
heard it.
change. You've seen
it.
weed change.
He went from Reggie to Chronic, you know what I mean?
No,
Yeah,
you
man.
gotta tell the story with Biggie.
Please,
with
I'll
Big,
do
I was basically, you know, Big is the hometown hero from Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, and basically,
But how did you know him? He was on the
well,
block.
no, Big got introduced to me by a girl. I think that either he was sending her out of town, allegedly, you know, sending her out of town,
Allegedly.
or he was allegedly hitting her, or allegedly. But she introduced me to him. You know, that's my boy. He DJs, and you rhyme and that whole thing. So I met him through that. Then I met him, of course, through Mr. C. Then I met him, of course, through Matty C. So my boy, me and Matty C was smoking weed with him, and he went to Franklin Avenue, got African Black, and
Yeah.
it was amazing weed. And I just lost myself. I'm just standing there. And they must have laughed for about 30 minutes.
Wait, this is pre-Ready to Die. This is like
This is
back in the
while
day.
Ready to Die is
Oh
being,
my
Gosh,
Yeah,
that's
so-
crazy.
And I smoked weed with him, and I just felt like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it felt wet.
yeah.
Pause.
And I'm just
Jeez,
drooling
man.
on myself. And then, like, and then Cash
Your bottom lip stop working, yo.
I'm like, yo, I gotta go home. Yeah, I gotta go home.
Like,
yo.
that's the
Not
last
picking up,
blunt I
I'm
ever
scared.
smoked.
Yo, dude.
my
And I mean, they
God.
laughed so hard. It was embarrassing because I'm like, damn, this is my guy. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I assed out right there in front of him. It's like,
Goldfinger, speaking of
I gotta
Biggie,
get
I
the
have,
fuck
I have
outta
a
here.
question to ask you, man. That very famous clip where he throws that water bottle at Fat Cap. Did
no,
you see
Big
that,
Cat,
Joe?
Big Cat. That's my
Big
man.
Cat,
That's my
Big
man.
Cat.
Yeah.
My bad. What happened there? Was it a warped record?
What
Like,
record? It was the Heat. It was the Heat.
So it wasn't his fault.
It was his fault because, you know why? Cat wasn't, rest in peace. Rest in peace to my nigga Cap. He didn't take care of his records really well.
That
He
was
I used to work in the record store and I used to come, I mean, like, yo, Cap, come on, you back again? Yo, I need the records, yo, come on, son, yo, hit me up.
right.
So I would
right.
have to give him the same records I gave him last week.
Okay,
'cause he
so
would
this is
ne-
a chronic situation.
Yeah, that was a chronic
Yeah,
situation.
okay.
But that right there, when he threw the water bottle at him, it was just like I had enough. He put the record on 45 and it was on 33, and it was a lot going on, man. It was a lot
There's
going
a
on.
real sensitivity I think rappers have with DJs
Mhm.
that are playing the beats and stuff. Like for some reason, it could be my best friend DJ.
Mhm.
Then there's like a fuck up on stage. I like get like way dramatic.
You got
about
one
it.
job.
It's messed up. You know,
Yeah,
we've seen
yeah.
like moments with like Wayne
Oh
on
my
stage too. That was
God.
kind of
Yeah.
similar to that,
Yeah.
throwing the bottles and
Oh yeah, Wayne was
snapping.
notorious for that
Because
shit.
everyone
Yeah.
thinks it's you. You have to
Yeah.
deflect the blame
You're the
to
face.
somebody. Yeah, you got to
Exactly.
deflect the
I do
blame
feel
to
bad for
somebody.
the DJs
They're
on
not
that
looking at
part.
that.
I've had my fair share of just
So what the fuck?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, when this was like 2002. We had a talent show in Virginia. It was for this like Miss Korean American beauty pageant. So we're surrounded with all these girls. We're rapping. Somebody trips over the power cord in the back, so up to the speaker. So I mean not the speaker, the turntable. So the speaker's still running, but the beat is slowing down. So I'm catching it. I'm like, now I'm going double time. But Zoe, I remember he's such a soldier. He would just manually, until the turntable came back, just rotated it so I could catch it on
So
beat.
is that guy.
Wow.
Man.
That's that love. That's a DJ
crazy.
love letter right there. You know what I mean?
What's some of the biggest disasters you guys have had while DJing?
Let's talk about it.
Oof, I mean, I remember I was doing Daylight in Vegas, and Rick Ross had a ton of champagne,
Yeah.
and he just was just like spraying champagne
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. And he was performing, and so when he started performing, his DJ got on, and I left my computer on the side,
Oh no.
and then his DJ was like, "Yo, Rick Ross is done. You ready?" And when I walked up, I saw my computer was just soaked with champagne.
Oh my God.
Trench.
To the point where if I lifted the computer, like all
It
you
would've
saw was
dripped.
champagne dripping down.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That nasty ass
And
Bel
then-
Air.
Like I have video of this, and it was
Yeah.
like I remember I put it on Twitter at the time, and all these DJs were like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
You were furious.
I wasn't even. I had a spare laptop.
But if you
But-
didn't, you probably would have been upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucked up, but the club, was like, "We'll buy you another
Gotcha.
laptop."
Yeah.
But that's pretty crazy. Yeah,
That's one annoying thing when, people are popping bottles like
Yeah.
that and it's spraying everywhere. That's something probably you guys have dealt with, right? A lot.
that happens all the time.
it's
bro.
Yeah.
just part of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen as much, but you remember that period where everyone was just a
doing that.
douchebag
Showers,
spraying.
yeah.
I've never been a fan of the champagne
No.
showers, I gotta say. I don't like the sticky,
Yeah.
feeling.
That's like 100% you're a douchebag.
Yeah.
If you're spraying.
Like you don't get attention at
Yeah.
home, so you're gonna do this. At
yeah,
the
you,
club.
can't, you don't see outside of yourself. And
Yeah.
you're just
Absolutely.
That's
you
true.
know what I'm
Awareness to
saying?
that
You're just
shit.
spraying.
What are
people.
some of you guys' moments?
I was with Zoe, one of my last ones. This guy wanted some Spanish Mexican music, and I told him like, "Yeah, hold on." And then he got pissed and started like talking shit to me and like
no.
wanting to fight me. And I'm like, "Bro,
Just
you're
because you said hold on?
yeah." I said, "Hold on." And he's
While
like,
you're
"No, no, no."
working? While
Yeah.
you're DJing?
Yeah, I was helping Zoe out because it was Mexican Independence Day weekend, and he was doing a venue, and they needed some Spanish
Yeah.
shit to be played. So I ran over there, and then this guy he got upset. And he started fucking angry and shit like that. And Zoe was next to me. He's like, "Whoa, he got pretty mad, huh?" I was like, "Yeah, motherfucker."
I mean, bro, it was Mexican independence.
Yeah. I was
That's the
like,
least you could do,
Least
man.
you could do.
He got mad upset. I'm like, "Yeah, hold on, I'm working the room," and he wants me to stop it and play
Right.
like this Vicente Fernandez record. I'm like, "Hold the fuck on. You're not tipping. You're not doing shit. The women want this." And then he got pretty upset. Like he turned red.
Goldfinger, in your 40 years, I mean, you must have killed a man at this point.
Well, besides them not having grape soda at the club, you ever been to a spot and find out that a guy that you know is with a girl that you kind of know, but you really don't know like that, and then they come to your party and then gunshots go off?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this sounds like something. Okay. Oh, you're gonna go there. I don't want
Yeah,
to bring
so-
up the incident.
Sounds like
Can I-
possible celebrity here. that we-
Yeah.
Can I say?
You talking about
what
the
this
Diddy
is?
Shine incident? Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
For real? So wait. So wait, wait.
His face.
This might or might not be
Allegedly.
the Shine
Yes.
Diddy Jennifer Lopez shooting.
Right.
Wow.
That's what we assumed.
Yes.
Allegedly, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was your party, right?
That was my party.
yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It was Club New York. You've had other shit pop off though.
But I've been through a lot, man. I'm seeing
He's been
seeing
through
a lot of
you
shit.
know what's the
man.
funniest shit is the Prince one.
Yeah.
You got
When
a
you-
Prince story?
You have
Yeah.
a Prince story?
Yeah, Club Lotus. I'm playing Prince records, and he's actually at the spot,
Oh my gosh.
and he like leans over and he looks at my record, and it's a bootleg. Well, but let me explain.
Yeah.
The bootleg record was made to make his records sound louder in the club,
Right.
because his albums were kind of like low.
Low, yeah.
So I explained to him, I was like, no, I got the real record. This is louder. It's louder. And then he like looks and like, yeah, we do have to remaster those.
Wow.
So
So wait,
kinda
let
gotta
me get
float it
this
away.
straight.
kind of got
You would print like vinyl or like, or was this like a CD or what was it?
He wouldn't print.
allegedly.
He
Yeah,
wouldn't
but
print.
you would get that just so you can get it louder in the club.
No, in the
Yeah.
club you needed
Wow.
it because you're playing vinyl, and the club you
That's
want to get
dedication, I gotta say, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even imagine.
They'll
doing
normalize
that.
it and put it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then-
you
and
don't
then
know
reburn
the
it.
half of it. this man allegedly is responsible for making all of these like DJ tools.
Compilation.
I'll call them DJ tools.
Yeah, DJ tools. Yeah.
Of remastered songs, repressed on vinyl, and creating
Just for that purpose.
So like
Sure, yeah.
because it's like also when you go to a record store, you want Michael Jackson, you have to buy 3 albums. That's $20, that's $60. Or you could buy this record that has all of Michael Jackson's hits on both sides.
Wow.
And it sounds
And they're louder.
And they're louder.
And they're louder.
Right.
And it's like they might have the extended mix that you want.
Yeah.
Or a different remix that you want, so you don't have to go look for it. But this isn't
It's like
just
torrents, bro. Yeah.
Well, because at the time, most people were just like, we're just going to have to deal with it or work with it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
were like, nah, I got to do something about
right,
this.
right. So it just became like a cure for everybody in the DJ community.
I love that,
But
man.
it doesn't even stop. He worked at the legendary Beat Street Records.
Mhm.
So all the mixtapes, I'm talking like tons of every mixtape era that you could think of,
Like Clue does a song.
he has
over
sold
this.
all of those mixtapes and he has worked with the DJs on being like, yo, this we just sold out. We need more. We need that. So
Yeah.
like he was
Consignment.
like, he is such a big part of hip hop and New York
Thank you.
hip hop, from records to mixtapes and everything. Like I'm talking the Clue era.
Yo, I missed that
talking
mixtape
everything, yeah.
era,
Oh, it was
bro.
the best. It was
Yeah,
the best.
yeah.
The
You
best.
kidding me? Oh man.
Let me ask you guys, were you guys, when that shift happened from vinyl to digital and Serato and all of that, were you guys instantly on board with it?
I was gonna ask you the same thing.
It was a fight.
right?
It was.
It was a fight because people were fighting for vinyl. We didn't know how credible the companies that were, getting into the stuff were. Like if it was a fly by night, and you collect records for 30-something years, you're not ready just to,
Hell yeah. Tell me it was worth it. Please tell me it was worth it.
I mean, how about from like the purest element though? Where,
From the purest element, you had that battle. It was
Yeah,
always,
right.
it's still that battle, to tell you absolutely.
Absolutely.
No,
Yeah.
it wasn't a battle for me. I couldn't. I couldn't
carry
wait.
those fucking
Yeah,
crates
no.
anymore.
right.
I could not wait to switch to a laptop. I think I saw AM and Jazzy Jeff
Yeah.
on it first in Lotus.
Bismarck. He
Well, I
was
saw,
monkey.
Biz was who was on it first?
Bismarck.
Bismarcky.
Mm.
Really?
He had a
Yeah.
Serato watch.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, rest in
R.I.P.
peace.
He's a big
Biz.
like tech guy.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah,
Bismarck,
collector like a
Damn.
motherfucker
Yeah.
too.
I saw them in New York at Lotus, and I was like, I need that.
Yeah.
I bought the MacBook, and because like the worst thing was at the end of the night when you DJ'd, and even if like you met a shorty,
Yeah. Yeah.
there was nothing worse than like wheeling out 5 crates of records, hailing a cab, loading up the records in the trunk.
Just wait 1 second.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
got to move these
No.
records real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they're gone.
By that time, they were gone.
Yeah.
So so I was like, yo, this is the worst. Like, so when the laptop and a backpack came out, I was good. It was
It
amazing. It
is
was the best
crazy
shit.
to think that is what DJs did.
You remember
at that time.
Yo, Zoe had the coffin. They were carrying the coffin with the fucking milk crates.
What
bro.
is the most amount of vinyl you guys would travel and play with, like somewhere?
Well,
How many
I used to have
talking?
like these big Berthas, like they were like the size of like maybe 2 calzone cases.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would do that. I call them Suge Knights at that time, but
Yeah.
I just stay. I call them Berthas now. You know what I mean?
How
Just
many
to keep
records
it-
would that hold?
that would hold like 400 records.
Oh, was
So
it
you had
triple
2
or
It was
or-
the double joints. The
Oh,
double
just
joints.
doubles.
Yeah,
How much of each one of those would weight?
it was.
Oh shit!
Like-
It was hell because when you used to take the plane with those shits, they used to charge you crazy
Oh
money for it.
man.
Crazy money for it.
And the planes would sometimes lose
Yeah, I didn't even
a crate
think
of
about
They would take it
records.
out trying to check
Sure.
shit, and then they would put your shit back upside down, and it's like,
Or if a DJ worked for TSA, dude.
Yeah.
Come on.
You
bro.
said-
I got caught a couple of times with
Damn.
them jack me for records and shit like that.
So
Yeah.
every time you travel, you're just praying that
You're
no
praying,
one
you're
is gonna,
actually praying.
that nothing happens, no warp, nothing. Yeah. Man, I feel you
Anxiety
guys'
attack.
pain. That's why out of the 4 elements, I just chose the one.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, this is the lightest thing. You know what I'm saying?
You don't even need it if you're
one.
loud enough.
I have, a lot of us when we got into hip hop, like we dabbled in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, okay, I dabbled in graffiti, got arrested. I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to do
And
that
LA
one
was
again.
crazy, bro.
You know what I'm saying? DJing, it was like all this tools you needed.
It
Yeah.
was
I
expensive.
was like,
as
it is
fuck.
expensive, and this vinyl's heavy, and I was a skinny young Korean kid. Pass on that one. Breakdancing, like, god damn, that is
That's a work.
that is a work. Ow.
My
Just
cleaning
talk
bill, right?
shit.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I can run my mouth for an hour. Yeah, all right, let's go.
You just like jokes?
Scuffed
Yeah,
up
I got it.
sneakers, your fucking pants all ripped and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. For real.
Why DJing for y'all? Like, why was it that out of everything? You guys got into hip hop. Did you dabble in other elements of hip hop as well?
I don't know. I just like music, and I was like, man, just playing records was fun. And then I went to school for fucking criminal justice, and I got that degree and shit like that. And then I started working in that, and I was like, I got to go back to this DJ shit because I'm like, this is not it. But it was just a love for music on my end. It wasn't like there's no motive like that for like, oh, I got to be a hip hop.
Well,
DJ.
I asked this because I do feel like each element, each person who is an MC, DJ, graffiti artist, or rapper, like there is a kind of like an archetype or a personality type behind each element. You know what I'm saying? Would you guys kind of associate yourselves with that kind of personality type?
I think the DJ fits my personality more. Like I did graffiti. Graffiti is kind of cool, but just kind of like anonymous to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Unless you're like, climbing an Empire State Building and busting a tag. But I always felt like music was it. Like, it just was my thing. You know what I mean? So even if I danced, I was like, nah, I'm not necessarily the greatest in that. Let me just get back here and spin these records.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I feel that.
I just saw this video recently. I wanted to bring it up. It was how back in the day, the DJ was actually the main performer. The MC was just a person hyping up the DJ.
Yeah.
So like rapping, I'm like trying to look at you. It's so the whole raps came from, they were just like bigging, it was like a cheerleader like chant for the DJ. You know, that was wild to me, man. I saw this thing, they were like, DJs are like the older brother, like the older brother that takes care of the family. If hip hop was a family. And then we have like the graffiti guys, just like the weirdo kid in the family, like that likes anonymity. That's just,
like the middle child.
And then the loud ass, bratty ass brother is the rapper. You know what I mean? That wants all the attention.
I could see that.
You know? Yeah.
Who's the breakdancer?
Yeah,
I feel like the breakdancer would be kind of the brattiest, youngest brother, in my opinion.
I feel like when it comes to amount of discipline and effort, like breakdancing takes a little more than rapping. You know what I mean?
The breakdancer would be like the youngest kid. How
The
family
Tasmanian
around.
devil.
You always put the little kid out there.
Yeah.
Do your dance.
Yeah.
He's like that kid.
Do that
what I mean?
I always felt like breakdancing got you the most girls.
Really?
What do you think? Like out of all the elements, early on when I got into hip hop,
You
like,
get the
when
most dudes with
you get the most
breakdancing.
like, I love your.
Really?
They are the most fit, right?
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah,
probably.
fit motherfucker.
Yeah,
At that
yeah.
time, well, yeah, it's like easy just instantly to do a backflip, and then the girl's like, oh, like for all the other elements, you got to do a lot to impress them off the jump. You know what I mean?
Right.
A windmill, you can get that off.
Yeah, but
back
you
in the
get one
days-
off in 5
Back in the
seconds.
days, it was like a sausage fest. It was like your boys.
That's what
we
I'm
all
saying.
breaking.
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
bending around each other and shit like that.
It's like us, man, at parties with the
said a
ciphers.
windmill
We
gets you
freestyle
pussy
for the
quick.
girls. It
real.
ends up with just 3 dudes in a circle, sweating.
But with a rapper, like from your perspective,
Yeah.
you gotta like kind of know how to talk shit. You kind of gotta be like a
Yes.
comedian, a
Witty
little
as
bit.
fuck. Yeah.
For sure.
You gotta be like super quick and witty,
Yeah.
which gravitates you to rapping, right?
Well, that's
Yeah.
an interesting thing, though. A lot of rappers, when they make music, they might be charismatic in the tracks, but they might have a shy personality in real life.
Right.
Okay.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
you
They
see a lot
turn it
of
off
those.
sometimes.
Especially now.
This might be a good question for you because you've been around tons of rappers over the years. Like, what were the personalities, beyond their music?
All right. So I grew up in housing projects in Brooklyn, and Houdini came out of the building that I grew up in.
Mm.
And those guys weren't even really thinking about, they were like thinking about playing basketball and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, and then rap just happened to happen, and they were good at it just
Right.
because I guess their confidence was like, I can do that good. Maybe I can do this good.
Yeah.
So
That's when you're really good. You don't even want to be a
Yeah,
rapper.
like, all this little thing, yeah.
It's just like picking up so much steam. You're like, I probably should just do this.
Yeah, it's just-
That's a crazy amount of confidence. Yeah.
Damn,
I
40s.
do feel like at that time it was so special because you didn't have to do all this extra stuff as a rapper. Like you didn't have to create a TikTok viral moment or go on a podcast. You just make a song or you just spit on a corner and you're just killing it.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the viral moment back then, though. Like you had to get
Biggie
like,
on Fulton, you know that
yeah,
joint?
like that type of shit. Maybe you did have to go, but it wasn't as demanding as now. Like
Yeah.
now, I feel like record labels like you got to make a TikTok song,
Right.
or you got to do this, you got to do that. Like I just think you got to create your own viral moment. Like your viral moment was that that
Oh, the
fight,
kick.
the kick, the battle fight kick, and I was like, that shit went everywhere. But I'm like, nah.
I do feel like a viral moment nowadays doesn't really mean much. You got to keep being able to make viral moments
Yeah.
every other week, and that is exhausting to think about.
Yeah.
Unless you're Haktua, like that'll go crazy.
She's in hot water right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, man, she's about to go to jail for crypto shit.
Oh yeah,
Pumping up. Pause.
I do think there's something dope about like kind of like taking a break
Mm.
and
Yes,
then letting people
disappearing.
breathe.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Because I think, like you said, it's not sustainable. So people either just get burnt out
Yeah.
or they just fall off.
Mm.
And it's kind of like you kind of want to give people wanting more.
Yeah.
You need to like, it's the art of like depriving people. Even like with your audience, you kind of got to like let them want more. Yo,
Yeah.
we haven't seen, you haven't done much in a while. You just kind of keep them wanting more.
yeah.
That's
Like
true.
when you took your big ass break out of battle rap, what was that about? Like, why was that? Were you just burnt out about it? Because you were doing like a lot of shit, and then out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think in general, like we're all humans too that want to explore different things. Like I'm passionate about rapping, but I'm passionate about multiple things. You know, I want to
Yeah.
do other things, and the thing is, each thing you do does take a lot of energy and a lot of
Yeah, it's a
time.
lot of bandwidth,
You know
for
what
sure.
I'm saying? So I do feel like me taking a break from rap does free up so much time for other things.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just an extra, why'd you stop? No, if I stop, like I have a lot more time for other things too, you know, that I might want to explore. It is not easy to take on something. And I think we all respect things enough where like if you're going to take it on, you should really take it
Full.
on. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I'm not going to
Absolutely.
pretend like I'm this one thing. And I have been just because I started it when I was young.
By the
Yeah.
way, you were great in the new Aquafina movie.
Oh, thanks. man.
Yeah. I was like, yo,
That's what he's
yo,
talking
he
about.
came out gangster.
I
Like,
appreciate it.
yo, where's my money? Where's my
Oh,
money?
I appreciate it, man. And let me ask you this: how do you think there's more people trying to be a DJ right now than a rapper?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think they're trying to be a DJ more than a rapper.
Yeah.
Is it because that's how you get more famous and more notoriety quicker?
No, I just think I think you see more success stories with doing DJing more so. It's a million rappers, but not a million great rappers, not a million successful rappers.
Yeah.
So being called a rapper is kind of like, it's like saying you work at McDonald's to a certain degree.
I also think with technology, DJing has become easier.
And it
Yeah.
definitely
So
has.
I think
Right.
there's a ton of influencers who don't really have a purpose
Right.
besides influencing.
Right.
And I
Mm.
think, DJing gives them a kind
Yeah.
of purpose.
fulfillment. Yeah.
But like when that purpose like kind of
dissipates a
like
little bit.
dissipates, they can become an actor or they're gonna hop on whatever other trend that they want. But it's like DJing is kind of the quickest thing you could do
To get a name out.
to kind of get a name out.
Right.
You know
you
what's
know?
another thing I've thought about? The fact that now the technology is like you have a computer
Mhm.
and you DJ. Everybody has a computer.
Yes.
Everybody has some type of
Everybody has a
Point
tool already.
Yeah.
a reference, right?
sure.
So it looks a lot easier because it's not unattainable. Whereas with records or if you bought vinyl, it's like I got to get all that shit. I got to
Mhm.
know all
Yeah.
that shit. Oh, all I have to do is get a computer. I'm good. I'm a DJ.
Do you
Everyone
think
has
it's-
a fire playlist in their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Do you
It's like
think-
everyone likes music.
Everyone
Yeah.
likes-
Everyone has a hot
You're an
45
influencer, you
cent.
like music, but I can imagine it's the same thing in like the culinary field.
Yeah.
It's like all like an influencer's like, yo, I like food. I could make food. Like
True.
it's the same
Right.
shit. You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Do you think the big problem too is that promoters are just being like, oh, this girl can kind of DJ and
But she has
she's
big-
nice to look at,
Yeah.
or not even just. I'm not gonna just put it on women, but like anybody who has a look or a brand being like, oh, maybe.
And million of followers.
Yeah, so
millions of
a lot of the problem is the promoters too, right? Kind of undermining the craft a little bit.
I think there is a conversation that's been happening about promoters not really just kind of maybe being a little lazy
Mm.
and not knowing what real promoting is.
followers.
Like if you go to certain like nightclubs or like nightlife groups, like promotions is like social media analytics.
Yeah, that's
No
it.
one's going out,
Right.
right? Like no one's going outside. Everyone just knows how to like do an ad. They know exactly how to like, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
They know who to target in ads, and now that's the new promoter. But sometimes it doesn't translate to like real bodies in the club.
Right.
Sure.
So I think there's like, oh well, you know, this DJ has a following, or this influencer has a following, and they kind of DJ, you know, let's bring them in. And it translates to ticket sales. It translates to this. Like, one of the biggest DJs, like, who's killing it right now is Paulie D.
Yes, yes, and he's been in it
He's
for a while too.
But
right,
he's good now. Like, he's actually he's good now.
Mhm.
But like, he is the biggest. Like, he is a monster. Like,
Wow.
he's one of the few DJs that I've seen, and it's all women.
He's
Oh,
like
okay.
Chris
Like,
Brown of DJing.
It's ticket sales of all women,
Really?
but it's
Wow.
women buying bottles.
Really?
Okay.
Yes, like, it's women buying bottles and women buying tickets
That's
for
endless.
Paulie D. And like, for a club owner, that's a dream.
That's a
Right?
dream,
That's
yeah.
a dream.
So he
GTL ladies right
he
there.
stays booking.
Oh,
yeah.
1,000%.
Is Paris Hilton good now too?
I don't know. She,
Goldie, you want to answer that question?
I think she's a lovely woman. Nah, but I really think that it's a lot of tastemakers, but not a lot of them have taste, and I think that that's a problem.
But they're not really
okay.
tastemakers.
They're not really tastemakers, but I'm just saying, it's like they have that aura, like they can bring people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have that aura, like, you know, they know what's going on. But when it comes down to regarding the music, they don't really know what it takes
For sure.
to keep a crowd or get a crowd of substance. Do you know what I mean?
Let me ask you guys. You just sparked this question from me. Like, where do you find that fine line between playing what the people want and being a tastemaker and trying to break a record, or you know, put something new that maybe the crowd hasn't heard? Like, how do you balance that line? You know?
Well, me, I think my reputation kind of like gives off a little bit. Give me a little space.
Yeah.
But if you have to stay to that code, because once you deviate from that and you start placating to the audience and you know, kind of being flighty,
Yeah.
they'll check you on it. You know what I mean? Now it's like, you got to play this because I'm here.
Got
Yeah.
you.
You know what I mean?
Got you.
So
you can't dilute yourself
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah, you can't
No.
sell yourself.
Right,
you can't
right.
sell your shit out.
It does seem like a very tough task to make some sort of impression on the promoters or the clubs to be like, I'm going to book that DJ again.
Mm.
Do you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Because there are a lot of DJs are playing the same thing as each other. How do you differentiate yourself? You know what I'm saying? That seems like a very tough thing to do in the DJ world, in my opinion. Like,
I think, like, I have this conversation with a lot of DJs, and I think the DJ was the first tastemaker. I think the DJ was the first nerd that had to go and collect vinyl, and had to collect vinyl when no one wanted to spend money on vinyl.
Right.
And the first sneakerheads were DJs.
yeah.
You know, like, we were the first ones to be on top of trends. So we
Be
would
fly.
buy all the brands, the clothing brands that, like, rappers wouldn't even be up on.
yeah.
You know, like, all the DJs were rocking Supreme.
Yeah.
They were the first ones, like, on top of all the trends, wearing Nike Dunks and, like, collecting Nike Dunks. And, like, the
Even
first
Jordans.
even concept of, like, a hype beast of a collector is actually a DJ.
Yeah.
Where would you guys make the money to collect at such a young age?
I mean, it's like, you wouldn't just be a kid collecting it. You'd be DJing,
Right, got you,
and
got
you'd
you.
be,
And
like,
just build up.
collecting all of this.
Like
you know?
tools, right? Just keeps building up.
There's not one DJ that you won't see that isn't a collector of just one thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
Biz Markie would be the first example of that.
Mhm.
Like, he was a toy collector. Then he collects cereals,
Yeah.
like,
yeah, cereal boxes.
crazy, like cereal boxes.
like Destroy. He
you know,
loves
and then
toys.
there were sneakerheads,
yeah.
and then he was a sneakerhead, you know. And then they're like, "Oh, well, I want to buy these toys," and it just goes on.
I
and
think he
on.
bought a whole second house next to his house for just his collection.
his regular-
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So all DJs are hoarders.
Yeah, we are.
Pretty
We
much.
are.
Pretty much.
Like, I got Pokemon cards, fucking Lego boxes at the
Yeah.
crib,
Watches.
watches,
I like collecting stuff too,
sneakers.
honestly.
It's just it's a
Yeah,
thing.
he's like trading Legos with Jazzy Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
So I'm like, we're like,
what?
I'm like, yo, you
Unreal.
got this, and I send it to him or whatever. But like, it's that nerd like
Yeah.
shit.
I love
Pokemon
it.
cards
collecting
and
records
shit.
is that, right?
Yeah,
It's just
that's it.
collecting
Essentially,
stuff.
that's
and
the
that
first
physical collectability is coming back super heavy, right? Like,
is.
I,
I
mean,
think-
it never really left.
No, yeah, it kind of did because people don't want to collect like vinyls. Vinyl was hot at a point, and then it went away, and now it's the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
But the same thing, even like Jordans and Dunks. Dunks were like slept on for a long time, and now they're the hottest shoes in the world. And then even with Jordan, right now they're taking a back seat, but I'm sure in like years it'll be the
Right,
hottest
right.
thing in the world.
Collecting records was an interesting thing to collect because it's not just you hoard it at the house; you actually took it out of your house too.
Mhm.
More, like, there's not a lot of other items like that, you know. And then,
I mean CDs as well and stuff.
yeah,
like
there
that.
was like a community built on it
Yeah.
easily.
Yo, bro, my parents, they have kids together, but they have their name on the records.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
deep.
That's true.
Yeah.
No,
You know,
for sure.
Like we share kids, but we don't share records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how many movies do we see where they're like, touch anything, don't touch my records?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's like
yeah.
a thing.
That's true.
Yeah, when I moved in with my girl, she bought her own collection of records, and like
Wow.
they're stored differently.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, nah, keep your shit, man. Keep my shit. But even she was like that. She's like, oh, that's my Bee Gees Saturday Night Live. Like, that's my stuff. And I'm like, all right. Bro.
You're like, that's the love of my life right here.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah. But yeah, you have those moments.
We're gonna wrap things up, man. We love y'all. I love everything you guys are doing. You guys are at episode like 380 or something like that.
345,
yeah,
345.
342.
What are we at, Dave? We're like 320, 326.
Oh, y'all up there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, quick.
Trying to catch up, y'all.
Catch up, man.
Twice a week, maybe. I don't know. Did we take enough break? Like,
Y'all have, stayed.
Have y'all ever missed a week or a month?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We had a few months of like hiatus and stuff. So that's why it's like this. We probably would have had more for sure. I think about quitting the pod every other week. So.
Yeah. I feel you.
Every other week.
Yo, you're not alone.
Yeah,
You're
you're not
alone.
You're like, what are we doing
You
in this
know?
for still? Who's still looking at this?
I really respect you guys' consistency, though, man. That's
Yeah.
not easy to do that many years.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have never missed a week? Or
No,
you
we have. We have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we have taken breaks. We have taken like a month break, and then about a year and a half ago, we lost one of our co-hosts, so we took a break
Rest
on
in
that.
peace. Rest in
Shout to
peace.
Never,
Yeah, shout
Never
to
Forever.
Never.
No, forever.
Our
But
brother.
yeah, but things like that happen, and you have to fucking take a break. Like,
yeah.
there's
Sure,
no way
yeah.
of doing it.
Regroup. No, for sure.
So you got to keep. It's like it's like 7 years in. You guys 8 years in. It's like you almost have to keep going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like you have a responsibility to your
Yeah.
following. And for us, I think the DJ community, like we have a responsibility to them.
Mhm.
And then we're getting all these, finally getting these guests that we've always wanted, that were
Yeah.
like bucket list guests.
Mhm.
So we have a responsibility to like tell these stories and kind of like, document this history that hasn't been told from a DJ perspective.
I love the way y'all
That's-
see it
it's
about
amazing.
the responsibility because
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. No, I'm kidding. I do. I'm kidding, y'all. Goldfinger, Crooked, Jamie the Great. This is
Yup.
the Road Podcast. Check them out. What day do you guys drop?
Every Wednesday on audio platforms, and then every Thursday on YouTube. And then we have a Patreon where you get the episodes weeks in advance as well.
If you guys really love this conversation, please support their Patreon.
Yup.
A lot of podcasts, literally, that is how they survive. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
please go support it.
Or we have like exclusive edit packs, like remixes,
Oh yeah,
on our
remixes for
Patreon.
for
like the
music
greatest
lovers,
guys.
just come
Yeah.
through. Yeah,
Yeah. I love it. Go support these guys. Check them individually out. See where they're playing if you want to hear them live. Thank y'all, man.
It's the road,
Thank
baby.
y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tune in next week for another episode of Fun with Dumb, y'all. Peace.
Yeah.
Peace. Thank you.